April 15th, 2013, 2:49 in the afternoon. Boston was alive with celebration. Then everything changed in a single heartbeat. 2 bombs ripped through the crowd at the marathon finish line, destroying lives, creating chaos, leaving behind questions that seemed impossible to answer. 500,000 people had gathered that day. Any one of them could have been responsible. But within hours, something unprecedented happened. Amateur detectives on Reddit believed they had everything needed to solve the case. Thousands of images, countless videos, unlimited manpower. They'd cracked cases before. This time would be different though. This time their hunt would destroy innocent lives forever. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next. And smash that like button to help this story reach more people. Minutes before the attack, Boylston Street pulsed with energy. Marathon Monday was woven deep into Massachusetts history. Cameras flashed from every angle as elite runners crossed the finish line after 4 grueling hours. Families cheered. Children waved signs. Everyone documented every moment on their phones, uploading to the internet in real time, sharing their joy with the world. They had no idea these would become evidence in a manhunt. The winners were still catching their breath when at exactly 2:49, a deafening bang shattered everything. Shockwaves tore through flesh. Shrapnel became projectiles. A fireball erupted into the bright afternoon sky. Thick, black smoke swallowed the celebration. For a few seconds, eerie silence, only ringing ears. Then the screaming started. Panic consumed the crowd. People stampeded over barriers. Some dragged the wounded away from the blast zone. Runners in their race bibs tore through barricades to help however they could. Then, before anyone could process what happened, a second explosion thundered 200 yards away. Pure terror. No one knew if more bombs were waiting. Every backpack became a threat. Every trash can, a potential killer. Police shut down mobile networks, thinking the bombs might be triggered by cell phones. Now, no one could call for help. No one could check on their families. The fear was suffocating. Within minutes, the internet erupted. Reddit took the lead. A thread by user Supernova Sky became the hub for real-time updates. Hundreds of posts per minute. This thread would change lives forever. People shared footage from multiple angles. The marathon had been recorded by hundreds of cameras simultaneously. Now that footage was being analyzed frame by frame by thousands of strangers online. If this story is gripping you, take a second to hit that like button. It really helps us continue making content like this. Updates flooded in. A field reporter saw people without limbs. At least 2 confirmed dead. Over 20 seriously injured from the first explosion alone. Reporters couldn't even get close to the second blast site. The worst part of the footage? A man falling after the explosion. Something horribly wrong had just happened to his legs. You could see it in the video. The moment his life changed forever. Reddit isn't just user updates. News from major channels flowed through it. Even law enforcement information through police scanners made its way onto the platform. It became the central nervous system of information that day. Boston police confirmed everyone's worst fear. There were more bombs. A possible device at the JFK Library. Another at Boylston and Gloucester. No place was safe. Evacuations began immediately. People speculated endlessly. Where did the explosion come from? A building? The sidewalk? Someone said it came from a trash can. Everyone was trying to piece together the puzzle in real time. Twitter and Facebook exploded with information too, but mainstream news was frustratingly slow. By the time CNN or Fox reported something, Reddit had known about it for 30 minutes already. The New York Post made a critical error. They reported 12 dead, when police scanners only confirmed 3. They didn't delete the false report until 5 in the evening. Trust in traditional media was crumbling. People stopped going to major news websites entirely. Reddit's live threads became the most accurate source. One user wrote they headed straight to Reddit the moment they heard about the bombing. Didn't even bother with CNN. A day after the bombing, the Boston Live Update thread had 3 million followers. User HG Manifold took over and created Update Thread number 2. The community praised how Reddit scooped every major news network on almost every detail. Some people saw opportunity in tragedy. Fake donation groups popped up within minutes, trying to exploit people's emotions. But Reddit was quick to warn others. Stick to the Red Cross. Don't trust random Facebook groups that appeared 10 minutes after the attack. Meanwhile, good people offered help. Free rides, places to stay, financial support. One user offered 70,000 airline points to help runners get home quickly. Another volunteered to drive anyone anywhere they needed to go. Take a moment right now and subscribe if you haven't already. This investigation is about to take a dark turn. NBC Sports reported marathon runners continued running to the hospital to donate blood for the injured. Heroism in the face of horror. This is what people wanted to focus on. The helpers, not the darkness. But investigators had a job to do. Fragments of black nylon bags were recovered from both blast sites. These weren't regular explosives. They were improvised explosive devices, IEDs, homemade bombs designed to maximize casualties. The next day, FBI Special Agent Richard Delorier held a press conference. He reassured the public they had the resources to find whoever did this. But he needed help. He asked the public directly. He gave out a hotline, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Anyone with information should reach out immediately. No evidence was too small. Cooperation was essential. Reddit users took this as a call to arms, like soldiers being summoned by their commander. Both RR News and IR Boston filled with people ready for the hunt. They encouraged everyone to share videos and pictures with the FBI. But this desire to help would soon morph into something dangerous, something uncontrollable. When the New York Post reported authorities had caught a dark-skinned Saudi as a suspect, it spread like wildfire. Everyone connected to that student was interviewed by press within hours. His roommates, his friends, his family. Then it was revealed there was never any evidence linking this man to the bombings. This was the final straw. People completely stopped trusting news channels. They believed Redditors were the only ones providing valid updates now. This cemented a dangerous belief that they could do better than professional investigators. That crowdsourced detective work was superior to FBI training and resources. What was supposed to be assistance to law enforcement soon turned into vigilantism. And the result of that was a subreddit called findbostonbombers. This subreddit would become Reddit's greatest mistake. At first, it worked as intended. People gathered evidence and intel to share with authorities. But soon, something shifted. Instead of going to police, some Redditors decided they were detectives themselves. They started analyzing evidence on their own. One comment tried to warn everyone. Please do not jump to conclusions. The last thing we need is to add paranoia and chaos to this situation. But when speculation becomes normal, rationality seems unfashionable. If you're still watching, hit that like button right now. What comes next is where everything goes wrong. Someone created a thread called The Innocent Hunt. The idea was to identify who wasn't a bomber. Find people who still had their backpacks after the blast, because the bombers would have dropped their bags with the bombs inside. It made some sense on the surface, but it opened a door that should have stayed closed. Internet detectives began scrutinizing every screenshot, circling any man they deemed suspicious, any man with a certain expression, any man with a black backpack. There's a guy in a dark jacket with a black backpack after the blast. Guy in white hat at the second bomb location. Someone spotted him on TV. Redditors placed him a block down from the blast in video footage. But some went even deeper. What if the bombers dropped their bomb bag and picked up another random backpack to avoid suspicion? Now every backpack was suspect. Before the blast and after, the paranoia was spiraling. Seeing the chaos, the moderators of our Find Boston Bombers created strict rules. They were trying to avoid another Richard Jewell situation. Richard Jewell was a security guard at the 1996 Summer Olympics. He spotted an unattended backpack, alerted police, helped evacuate the area. Then the bag exploded. One person died from the blast, another from a heart attack. Over 100 injured. Media called him a hero, until the FBI started considering him a suspect. That information leaked. Media vilified him. He was hounded by reporters, surveilled by law enforcement for months, despite no solid evidence. By October, the FBI cleared him, but his life was destroyed forever. Public speculation had become an uncontainable force. The IRR's Find Boston Bombers moderators understood this. They needed rules to prevent history from repeating. Within 24 hours, they implemented 7 rules. We do not condone vigilante justice. Do not post any personal information. No racism will be tolerated. Fact-check your sources. Remember, we are only a subreddit. Do not make images viral. Keep in mind, most suspects discussed are innocent until proven guilty. These rules prevented people from using names, but it didn't stop them from circulating pictures. One person said it must be the guy in the blue fleece because he's holding a bag. Another refuted him, saying the bag didn't seem heavy enough. Even after Reddit cleared someone as innocent, it wasn't over. They just turned that person into a meme instead. Bad luck blue fleece carries his friend's belongings, gets fingered as a bomber suspect because he gave them their stuff back. Subscribe right now if this is keeping you on the edge of your seat, because we're approaching the point of no return. On this subreddit, everyone was a criminologist, journalist, and judge simultaneously. This should have been happening behind closed doors at FBI headquarters, but instead, it was out in the open. The entire world was involved. Despite strict rules, stereotyping and racism continued. People made remarks disguised as opinions. Strange theories fed the paranoia. When Supernova Sky, the original poster of the Boston Live thread, saw our Find Boston Bombers going viral, he tried to distance himself. In his words, there was nothing new in that subreddit. People kept analyzing existing information, and this analysis soon led to a whirlwind of false information spreading everywhere. Official investigators continued urging the public to share leads, but this encouraged Reddit detectives to dig even deeper. If the culprits still weren't identified, it meant they needed to do more. They weren't going to wait for the FBI. According to them, hundreds of people with access to public media would be more efficient than specialized investigators. Reddit had over 14 million monthly visitors at the time. Any picture or post that gained traction received attention equivalent to the front page of the New York Times. Twitter users with large followings took updates from Reddit and amplified them. News channels picked up information from Twitter. Several media platforms began forwarding popular theories from Reddit, from white hat guy and blue shirt guy to torn jeans guy. As theories spiraled, people questioned what the moderators thought. In an interview with Vice, moderator Chris Reeves shared his thoughts. About the 13-man theory, we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions. That theory shows clear suspicion of Arab people. I wouldn't want to see Arab Americans singled out. What about Blue Robe Man? Could just be a guy with bad fashion sense trying to walk through a crowd? A lot of these people just look like regular guys hanging out. But you never know. Anyone with a backpack around the time of the blast is worth looking at. Then the New York Post struck again. They published another unverified story. They put white hat guy and blue shirt guy in a poster. Feds seek these two pictured at Boston Marathon. It showed 16-year-old Salah Eden Barhoum and 24-year-old Yassin Zaimi. After being harassed by people who believed the Post's article, both went straight to the police station to clear their names. Law enforcement confirmed they were never suspects. Both later sued the New York Post for making them targets of public scorn and hatred. More people fell victim to this ruthless cycle. Media promoting unverified news for the sake of being first. People blamed Reddit for every misidentification. Rather than holding media outlets accountable, it was easier to blame an anonymous platform. Meanwhile, at Boston Medical Center, Jeffrey Bauman, a runner who lost both legs in the blast, revealed information that changed everything. Authorities had been collecting evidence, bloody clothing, backpack fragments, shrapnel pieces, but they had no clear direction until Bauman gained enough strength to scribble a message. Bag. Saw the guy. Looked right at me. FBI agents rushed to his bedside. He described a man in sunglasses and a black cap who calmly placed a backpack by his feet, then vanished into the crowd. That was it. The key lead. Now they had to search through 33 terabytes of digital data and find footage showing that man. Time was running out. The longer the culprits remained free, the higher the risk of another attack. If you're invested in this story, smash that subscribe button now. The climax is coming. Finally, amidst all the footage, two men began appearing frequently. One wearing a black baseball cap, another wearing a white cap backward. Their calculated movements stood out. They didn't flinch or run after the blast. The FBI believed they had their culprits. But now came a critical decision: keep it secret or share it with the public. Releasing suspect information could alert the suspects themselves that the FBI was onto them. They might panic, do something drastic, but public speculation was creating chaos. Innocent people were being misidentified. The New York Post's Bagmen publication was the tipping point. The FBI knew they couldn't stay silent any longer. The internet and traditional media were turning this into a circus. By showing the public exactly who to look for, the FBI aimed to shut down the noise. President Obama saw photos of the two suspects. He didn't block the release, but he offered one warning: be sure they're the right ones. On Thursday, April 18th, at exactly 5 in the evening, the FBI released photos of their 2 suspects at a press conference. Suspect 1 wore a black cap. Suspect 2 wore a backward white cap. Once again, authorities encouraged public help to identify these suspects. But this wasn't just a call for assistance. It was a strategic move to regain control of the narrative. For the first time since 9/11, there was record-setting web traffic at FBI.gov after the photos were released. CBS fanned the flames with headlines. The FBI says the suspects will be caught by the public's help, and the public is on it. But when helping police turns into a competition of who identifies the suspect first, facts go unchecked. Someone on Reddit saw a post from 4chan. Guy running on left looks like suspect 2. But some Redditors pointed out something disturbing. In 2 days of analyzing countless pictures, they had never once circled the actual suspects the FBI released. Never saw either on this subreddit, not once. This made some question how much help they could actually provide. But others were undeterred. They obsessed over every detail, especially the hats both culprits were wearing. If they could narrow down the exact shop where the bombers bought those hats, maybe they could get more intel. Is there a store that sells both hats? Maybe they went shopping together to create costumes. Ask FBI to check sports shops. But some users got fed up. Some here seem to think the FBI and professionals are giant morons who wouldn't think of basic investigation like identifying hats, clothing, backpack brands, checking local stores. The FBI came up with these suspects on their own with no help from Reddit. After accessories, people obsessed over height and weight. Someone estimated the suspects were 6 feet tall and weighing 130 pounds. And then it happened. A user named Bobby Nixon dropped a name that slipped through the mod's defenses. Have you considered Sunil Tripathi as a suspect? He is 6 feet tall and went missing from the Boston area. This was the seed that grew into one of the biggest witch hunts in internet history. Hit that like button right now. This is where tragedy truly begins. Sunil Tripathi was a 22-year-old Brown University philosophy major. Smart, kind, reserved. The type of person you'd never expect to vanish without a trace. But that's exactly what happened. On March 16th, 2013, just a month before the bombing, Sunil disappeared. He left behind his wallet, his ID, his cell phone. His family was shocked. They tried everything to find him. They distributed flyers throughout Providence, Rhode Island. The search expanded to Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania. They created a Facebook page, Help Us Find Sunil Tripathi. Dozens of video messages from loved ones telling Sunil they loved him and wanted him home. Despite relentless effort, Sunil didn't show up. But their innocent efforts soon faced harsh backlash. When Redditors heard the name Sunil Tripathi and looked at the FBI suspect photo, something clicked. White cap, strong jawline, similar build. A missing Ivy League student with no trace for a month who resembles a bombing suspect. Couldn't be coincidence. They were convinced they'd found their match. After the Reddit comment dropped Sunil's name, it spread like ink in water. At first, isolated to the subreddit. Then Twitter picked it up. A user named Kami Mattioli tweeted something chilling. I'm more than a little freaked out by the photos of suspect number 2. A few minutes later, she followed up. Yeah, he's from my hometown. We went to high school together. The person she was referring to? Sunil Tripathi. Kami later deleted the tweet. probably sensing the fire she just started. But it was too late. Redditors already caught it and began sharing the tweet as proof they were onto something. Then came the megaphone moment. Sasha Stone, a film blogger with 10,000 Twitter followers, saw the internet chatter. She was blown away by Reddit's investigative efforts and shared their findings with all her followers. Looks like someone put it together. She didn't just share the comparison image. She found the Facebook page Sunil's family had created and posted that too. In minutes, thousands who'd never heard of Sunil now knew his name, his face, his worried family's faces. The Facebook page meant to find a missing boy was now filled with accusations. Eventually, the family took it down. On Sasha's post, people congratulated her for solving the case. But even Sasha knew it wasn't her. It was Reddit. Thousands of internet sleuths now had their eyes locked on one name: Sunil Tripathi. Tensions were already on edge. But what happened next threw things off a cliff. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now. What comes next will shock you. Thursday night around 10:45, reports started coming in. Shots fired at MIT. 2 men gunned down MIT police officer Sean Collier while he sat in his cruiser. They stole his service weapon, hijacked a black Mercedes SUV, vanished into the night with $800 in stolen cash. Officer down. Ambulance transferred, injured officer. Sean Collier later died at the hospital. Cops chased the terrorists, lost them when homemade bombs came flying from the car's trunk. They have explosives, some type of grenades, shots fired. The scariest part was hearing fear in the officer's voice, screaming, "Shots fired! Shots fired! Holy explosions! They have grenades!" Authorities held a short press conference. The suspects had driven deep into Watertown to avoid police, but they could only run so far. Then a chilling tweet came. A user named Greg Hughes tweeted, "BPD scanner has identified names. Suspect 1, Mike Mulugeta. Suspect 2, Sunil Tripathi." It was a blatant claim. When someone asked for the source, Greg mentioned Reddit's findbostonbombers subreddit. The second suspect they're saying is the missing brown student. Not many questioned the credibility because the words police scanner added weight. People hit retweet. For 4 days, internet sleuths scrutinized every face. They needed names. Now they had them. Moderators on findbostonbombers watched the thread spiral out of control. Every time someone mentioned Sunil's name, they deleted it. Straight ban. They weren't trying to hide truth. They were trying to contain chaos. But then when thousands were retweeting the alleged police scanner update, including local journalists and BuzzFeed reporters, the mods took it as a news source. They stopped deleting comments with Sunil's name. Within minutes, high-profile Twitter accounts spread it like wildfire. Perez Hilton, Luke Russert, Bill Neely. Everyone wanted to be first to update. No one bothered checking facts. Before anyone could verify, it had reached global news. The world no longer saw Sunil as a suspect. They declared him guilty. The internet rejoiced. Reddit solved it before FBI. Posts circulated commending Reddit's devotion and intuition. Meanwhile, in Rhode Island, the Tripathi family wasn't only bearing the pain of their missing son. Now, millions of threats and accusations rolled in against him by the second. They watched in horror as Sunil's name and photo were broadcast as America's most wanted. They couldn't understand how their quiet son could be involved in something so cruel. That night, The internet had made up its mind. The truth was in front of everyone, until NBC News stepped in and crashed the party. They issued a statement flat out denying the suspects named online were involved. Law enforcement sources adamantly say White Hat Guy is not Sunil Tripathi, but the damage was already done. People assumed NBC was trying to hide truth. Subscribe and hit that bell icon right now. The truth is about to devastate everyone. By Friday morning, the hunt for the two suspects continued. Helicopters sliced through Boston's gray skies. SWAT teams patrolled eerily quiet neighborhoods. Across America, millions sat glued to screens, refreshing social media and listening to police scanners. 27,000 people listening. Light-skinned white male, gray hoodie, black curly hair, possibly with assault rifle and explosives. Should be considered armed and dangerous. Around midday, clarity finally broke through. RT News reported the suspects were brothers, Tamerlan and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, Russian Caucasians from Chechnya. No Sunil, no Mike Mulugeta. Internet sleuths went awfully quiet. This was the moment Reddit stopped looking like detectives and started feeling like a crime scene. I'll give it to CNN. And to think we were all patting ourselves on the back for being faster. I'm embarrassed. Threads filled with guilt, denial, confusion. Some users accepted they impulsively circulated unverified information. What Reddit needs to do is leave the Tripathi family alone. Enough damage has been done. This subreddit did nothing to aid the investigation. Media threw up their hands when questioned about their role spreading false information. Just like every other time, they blamed Reddit. Seeing global backlash, findbostonbombers founder Oops777 posted in defense. Just a reminder, we did not allow information on the missing person. It came from Boston, News, and Twitter. We didn't know about pictures spread by media. Stop blaming this subreddit for everything. He highlighted other news channels and subreddits responsible. New York Post posted images never seen on Reddit or 4chan. They reported images released by police officials. We deleted all mention 12 hours before pictures hit newspapers. The missing person was speculated on News and 4chan. Even before scanners mentioned him, we removed posts immediately. When mentioned on scanners, it was tweeted and went viral. On Boston, not this subreddit. Please stop pinning things on this subreddit that came from Reddit as a whole, Twitter, and media. Some called him out for denying accountability. Others showed remorse. Don't take attacks personally, but there were definitely threats about Sunil here. Though mods tried your best, you didn't have perfect coverage. This subreddit is one point in the chain of misinformation. That doesn't fully excuse it. Mainstream media finger-pointing with poor fact-checking seems rather the norm. Well said. It's hard to write a story attacking the internet. Easier to attack Reddit. This subreddit was a failure. We didn't find photos of the bomber. We didn't identify bombers after photos were given. Rather, we ruined innocent lives. We tormented Sunil's family during a difficult time. Meanwhile, the hunt for real culprits intensified. The bombers drove through Watertown, engaging in fierce shootout with law enforcement. Everybody behind cover. Suspects firing long guns, not handguns. One in custody and one held at gunpoint. Dzhokhar jumped into a stolen SUV determined to escape as officers tried arresting his brother Tamerlan. Dzhokhar slammed the accelerator straight toward them. He didn't slow down, didn't swerve. He ran over his own brother. The SUV crushed Tamerlan's body and dragged him nearly 30 feet across pavement as officers dove out of the way. Dzhokhar kept driving, trying to get away. Half a mile later, he ditched the SUV and vanished on foot. One suspect going to Beth Israel. Tamerlan was later pronounced dead, killed by his own brother. These guys attacked cops with hand grenades and automatic weapons and had explosives. They got one suspect. One is on the loose. Middle Eastern-looking male. 2 officers down. If this story is gripping you, hit that like and subscribe button. We're approaching the devastating conclusion. With Dzhokhar still at large, authorities imposed a lockdown on Boston, urging residents to stay indoors. A 20-block perimeter was established. Officers searched each house and backyard. Normally bustling streets were eerily silent. It was as if the country was under martial law. This is like having 5 stars in GTA in real life. This kid has an entire army searching for him. How he evaded capture is blowing my mind. As evening approached, the lockdown was lifted. Residents cautiously stepped outside. No one knew where Dzhokhar could be hiding or when he would strike again. Then a call came from David Henneberry. He was a homeowner in Watertown who noticed his shed door was open. The tarp covering his boat was out of place. There was blood on the tarp. When he lifted it, he was shocked to find wounded Dzhokhar inside. David immediately alerted authorities. A police helicopter with thermal imaging confirmed movement in the boat. Officers surrounded the area. After a tense standoff, Dzhokhar was apprehended and taken into custody. Later, the tireless effort of FBI's unsung heroes was unveiled. While the internet was busy accusing wrong people and feeding conspiracy fires, official investigators worked to find truth based on real evidence. The FBI, alongside Boston Police, Massachusetts State Police, and ATF, locked down 12 square blocks near the bombing site. For 9 straight days, they combed over every inch. Over 3,500 pieces of evidence were processed. Over 2,700 items shipped to Quantico for deeper forensic analysis. Thanks to the special digital tip line, everyday people submitted everything they had. Photos, videos, blurry snapshots. In those pixels were clues hiding in plain sight. Behind the scenes, linguists spent 2,500 hours translating foreign messages and emails. Analysts worked through the night following paper trails, digital footprints, phone records. They didn't just identify the bombers, they tracked down accomplices. 2 friends of Dzhokhar, Dias Kadirbayev and Azamat Tajayakov, tried erasing evidence after the bombings. Another associate, Robel Philippos, lied to federal investigators, but justice found its way. They were all hunted down and charged. A wave of celebration swept across media as people rejoiced over capturing the real villains. The Tsarnaev brothers' capture put the final stamp proving Reddit was wrong. For days, the internet zeroed in on innocent student Sunil Tripathi. His family, struggling with his disappearance, showed no resistance. They were hunted by everyone on the internet, posting highly offensive messages on their Facebook page and everywhere else. Even public figures chimed in. Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir said despite the Sunil Tripathi fiasco, social media users will still believe in a God-given gift to post first and confirm later. But now, one question burned in millions of minds. Where was Sunil Tripathi? Realizing the distress Reddit caused, on April 22nd, our Find Boston Bombers moderator Chris Reeves posted a public apology. I'd like to extend deepest apologies to the family of Sunil Tripathi for any part we played in passing along faulty information. We cannot begin to know what you're going through, and we're truly sorry. Several sources had heard him identified as suspect. This has not been confirmed. We were mistaken. This shows exactly why the no personal information rule is in place. For privacy of Sunil and his family, I ask users please remove any and all links about him. And for those interested, he linked back to our helpfin Sunil as if trying to undo damage. No detective work, but maybe help spread the word. Spread the truth. Leave supportive messages on their Facebook. Reddit definitely owes something to the family after what they went through. Kami Mattioli, who tweeted about studying with Sunil and falsely identifying him, also wrote, "I want to issue a formal and public apology to the Tripathi family for harm my tweet about possible resemblance may have caused." Another user wrote, "We all need to look at what happened and make sure in the future we do everything to help and not hinder crisis situations." The same day, Brown University posted an announcement. A student-led event was planned for the next morning. Lend Your Hand, a campaign where students would write messages of hope and love on their palms and share images online, hoping someday it might bring Sunil home. Sangeeta Tripathi, Sunil's sister, said this campaign is designed to keep momentum going, but in a positive way to advance the search for our missing brother. It was an innocent attempt to rewrite his story, replace suspicion with compassion. This time, the internet would not tear someone down, hopefully help bring them home. However, just as the family began feeling hope, it was shattered hours later. On April 23rd, a rowing team from Brown was paddling through Providence River. What was supposed to be regular practice turned into heart-wrenching nightmare when they saw something. Someone floating near India Point Park. A dead body. Cold, still, unrecognizable. It had been underwater for weeks. 2 days later, dental records confirmed what no one could believe. It was him, while the world pointed fingers and plastered Sunil's face across headlines. His body had been lying in Providence River. What shocked the internet even more? He had taken his own life weeks before the bombings even happened. The Tripathi family later confirmed Sunil had been struggling with depression, a silent weight he carried alone until he couldn't anymore. The day he disappeared, he left a note showing his intentions. They released a statement that cut deeper than any headline. As we carry indescribable grief, we also feel incredible gratitude to each one of you. We extend thanks for words of encouragement, for your thoughts, for your prayers, and for love you've generously shared. But then they said something no parent should ever write. A tremendous and painful amount of attention has been cast on our beloved Sunil in the past 12 hours. We have known unequivocally all along that neither individual suspected as responsible for Boston Marathon bombings was Sunil, despite Redditors admitting to their online witch hunt and sharing multiple apologies. They could never compensate for what Sunil's family went through. Apologies don't rewind time. They don't erase impact of an angry mob hurling hateful comments and cruel accusations. Brown University President Christina Paxson remembered Sunil not as face of internet frenzy, but as the person he really was: serious, thoughtful, intellectually curious student, and brilliant writer. She commended his exceptional skills playing saxophone. But regarding the real Boston bombers, one question remained. Why would two young men do something so horrible? In days following Jokar's capture, reports revealed the brothers' intentions. Joker scrolled a note on the boat's interior wall, justifying bombings as retribution for U.S. military actions in Muslim countries. He referred to Boston victims as collateral damage, drawing parallels to casualties of wars abroad. Ultimately, he was convicted for multiple offenses and sentenced to death, a sentence subject to ongoing legal appeals. What appalled people even further? It seemed the Boston bombing could have been avoided. Tamerlan and Dzhokhar came from turbulent background. Raised in war-torn Chechnya, they fled with their family and settled in United States nearly a decade before the bombings. While Dzhokhar seemed adjusting as a student on scholarship, Tamerlan was on a different path. In 2011, Russian government sent a warning to FBI about the brothers. A warning that, if taken seriously, could have changed everything. FBI did look into it. They summoned the brothers for interview and monitored activity, but found nothing they could act on. Then, in 2012, Tamerlan went back. He spent 6 months in Dagestan, a volatile region bordering Chechnya. He spent 2 days in Chechnya itself. When he returned to U.S., something was different. He adopted radical views. That became evident when 3 people were killed and over 180 hospitalized. Senator Lindsey Graham demanded to know why wasn't more done. Why didn't we catch this? He argued Tamerlan's online activity and visits to radical websites should have raised red flags. He was being brainwashed by extremists. Senator Susan Collins echoed concern, pointing to cracks not just between agencies, but within FBI. But at that moment, none of that mattered to victims, their families, and Sunil's family. The damage was already done. Before we finish, make sure you're subscribed and that like button is smashed. This final message is crucial. Sunil's story is more than a footnote in Boston bombing. It was reflection of how chaos spreads when rabid hunger for justice is put above truth. He was falsely accused not by evidence, but by rumors and hearsay amplified by careless actions of people who thought they were helping, or perhaps worse, people desperately trying to be heroes out of self-importance. This misinformation catastrophe wasn't just fault of Reddit threads and viral tweets. Traditional news media, the industry sometimes seen as gatekeeper of verified information, played a role as well. In its race to break the story, it published unconfirmed theories as fact, time and time again. Boston bombings didn't just expose suspects. It exposed how both old and new media can twist truth when attention is viewed as more important than accuracy. In the end, it's not about which platform is worse. It's about cost of carelessness. And in this case, that cost was catastrophic. If you found this story eye-opening, please click that like button and subscribe to our channel. It's the best thing you can do to help us keep making videos like this. Thanks for watching until the end.